Hey, what is going on everybody? It is Nolan, or the Optimistic Gamer here, and welcome to a very special episode. It is episode 100. I can't believe it. I honestly, for a little while, didn't even think that we would make it here near the very beginning of this series, but sure enough, here we are, and as promised, it is time for the grand opening, the reveal of our museum. Now, of course, this has remained top secret. We are going to actually play this straight as if I have not seen the inside of it, and it's going to be a fun new experience for all of us. So it looks like we enter right here on the right, and fairly small, but it looks like we have our check-in desk right here. The admission fee for optimists, that includes us, it is free. Villagers do have to pay an emerald. Consider a membership to support the museum. Well, we might just do that. I'm assuming they have a no backpack policy, so why don't we just store our ender chest right back here for safekeeping. We will add our silk touch pickaxe to that, and we will hang on to our food just in case we get hungry along the way. So entering right here, welcome to the Optimistic Survival Series Museum of History. The museum features many exhibits open for you to explore. We hope you enjoy the museum. Also, here are some different statistics for Nolan in the series up until the time of writing this, December 8th, 2024. I'm curious to see some of these. We have traveled 3,003 miles. That is a very long distance. We've jumped 277,000 times. We've played for 13 and a half days. Stone mined 65,538. That is definitely the case. Damage dealt 90,000. So we are closing in on the 100,000 mark there. And of course, we have unfortunately died 5 times in this series. We've killed over 15,000 mobs, crafted over 37,000 sticks, and Endermen, of course, with our XP farm, they have died over 7,600 times, thanks to us. So here we go. Here is the museum, the early days. And it looks like we have a podium right here, a lectern, that we can read about, and it will tell us a little bit more about this exhibit. A few birch trees and a vast body of water was the welcome we received when the optimists, led by Nolan, first logged into this world. The early days were always a critical time. It's true survival. They didn't have time to stop and smell the poppies. They had an agenda: get to the Great Cherry Mountain Range before nightfall and brace for night 1. A local village proved to be useful in supplying a bed, and before they knew it, they had tools, weapons, shelter, and it was time to hit the ground running. So it looks like in here we have a birch tree, what looks like probably our original wooden pickaxe. The museum curators might get mad at me if I remove that, but sure enough, 39 out of 59 durability. That is the original wood pickaxe. We have a few other tools right up there. Some of our wheat, of course, torches littered all around. It definitely has that original valley feel where we were set up just a few blocks from here. I think they did a great job with this first exhibit. Moving on, venturing out. Now things are starting to build up a little bit. That building looks recognizable. Maybe we can see it through this window right here. We can see a portion of it. That is our old storage building. We have a map right over here on the wall from a very early time in this series when we still had our tree farm right back behind the what is now the town hall. It was our old storage building, and back when we were still expanding the path to the south. So lots of development since then. It's really cool seeing that map and how things have progressed. I spy some diamonds right back there. Why don't we give a read about this exhibit here? The next few episodes would be quite the adventure for Nolan and the Optimists. With a combination of exploration, building, and farming, the humble start would begin to expand into a substantial homestead with a storage building, barn, XP farm, and of course, diamonds. As the Optimists settled into what would come to be known as the Valley, they found great comfort and joy in their new environment. We certainly did. I think we have really made this place a nice home. We have a geode right here, an amethyst geode, and over here, well, that looks like our old XP farm, our enchanting setup where we had our anvil and our chest, all of that way down underground over in that direction, where we also had a zombie spawner. That is fun to see. Lots of great memories with that, and of course the mountains around here as well. Moving on into the valley, I recognize a few of these buildings and a dirt bridge right up there. Let's go ahead and give this a read. With resources beginning to pour in, the Optimists started expanding and increasing production. Barns, sniffer farms, boathouses, and beekeeping were just a few of the ways the Optimists continued to grow their civilization. They kept in close contact with their neighboring tribe, the villagers, who were always willing to trade goods at an occasionally moderate price. Well, that is certainly true. The Dirt Sky Bridge was a symbol of the valley as a trade route for many episodes. It certainly was. It served its great time, that's for sure. We have a much more substantial bridge now. Of course, our new flowers from the sniffers right there. Our barn in micro build form, same with our boathouse right over here, looking very nice. And then this was around the time that we got into brewing and beekeeping. It was a very, very profitable time for us for sure. But it looks like now we are getting into the Nether, right through the Nether portal right here. Already we have a few different dimensions or a few different biomes in this dimension. The Optimists were quite pleased with their current situation, but they seemed to hit a dead end. There just wasn't any further expansion. They longed for more. Nolan led the Optimists into the Nether in search of additional resources to bring back to the valley and potentially use to trade with other civilizations. Just a very cool room, a very cool setup. It really captures the essence of all our different Nether biomes that we have. And now right here, it looks like we have a Nether fortress, a pool of lava, and what appears to be an ancient debris mine way down there at the depths of the Nether. It wasn't long before they discovered structures. One was a mysterious red brick fortress, the other was a castle-like dungeon, partially in ruins and inhabited by piglins. Both weren't forgiving, yet both housed precious resources and opportunities. Blaze rods and wither skeleton skulls were up for grabs at the Nether fortress, and an item so valuable it can only be found inside the Bastion remnants, a smithing template, the device necessary to allow the Optimists to upgrade their gear from diamond to netherite. That was quite the adventure trying to get our hands on that smithing template, and up here it almost feels like we are back in the Bastion right here with our gold blocks over in that corner, some nether wart right there growing, a few chests, nothing in them, but definitely a lot of loot that we took away from these bastions. And it looks like we are heading back out into the overworld, home sweet home, and that is our home indeed. How cool is that? Eventually, they returned from the hellish landscape back to the valley, where they decided it was time to upgrade their starter house to a home. The starter house can still be explored as the current branch mine entrance. The Optimists didn't want to settle for a plain old box. Instead, a build much larger and grand would dominate the valley and landscape and capture the eyes of anyone passing by. The Optimists have resided here ever since. Again, still very happy with our home. One of my all-time favorite builds, of course, our trading hall is kind of in the way, but we can see the top of our tower over there and the chimney as well that we have right here. that is just a very fun build. It really captures the essence of our home, a home that we still have yet to do the interior for, so maybe we will do that here in the near future. Now it looks like we are getting into farming. Right over here, the optimists were finally content. They had a home, resources, trading routes, animals, but it was time to take their production to a new level. It was time for automation. An underground sugarcane farm, which would later become an automatic paper farm, filled the space below the ground, and a not-so-appealing stone brick building would be home to a smelting and lava factory. As the automation grew, so too did the horse stables. The valley is home to a variety of horses, including the optimistic Namer, Stardust, Patches, and Midnight Rider, which it looks like are all right here. Of course, the horses aren't, but their names on the stables are. This looks like the sugarcane farm that we have down underground, and of course, I can't believe they actually included one of my least favorite buildings from this series in this museum. I guess we've made so many jokes about it at this point that it may end up just sticking around, but some furnaces in there, and it definitely served us quite nicely in those early days. Enemies. Ooh, this sounds like a dangerous exhibit. Right through here I see a graveyard and, oh, that's funny, a woodland mansion on fire. Yes, that is very, very reminiscent of the situation we had. Life was good, production was up, harvests were plentiful, and morale was high, but it didn't stay this way forever. The pessimists, also known as the pillagers, made their presence known in the valley. The army of exiled villagers wielded crossbows, used black magic, were well versed in witchcraft, and trained mutant beasts to attack the optimists and their close allies. And they weren't the only ones causing trouble in the valley. Undead mobs began to populate the area, causing even more immediate threats. The optimists had to build up their arsenal quickly. They banished the undead mobs to the graveyard and gated them in. The pillager's mansion was raided and burned to the ground. I mean, I wouldn't say that we set the fire, it was sort of a natural fire, but it was raided indeed. So it looks like a crossbow and a banner representing the pillagers, and over here on this side, something that looks a lot like our graveyard, which again, I don't know if we're going to be able to see. That trading hall kind of dominates the landscape. There's our town center now. We can just barely see the pumpkins over there, in that 1.21 house up on the hill looks very cool in the fog up there. But moving through here, now we get into archaeology. This was a fun chapter for us, I think. We had a great time with this, and I'm curious to take a closer look here at this exhibit. A nice brush right there. The war on pessimists had long been over, and the optimists were once again back to their plentiful state. They decided it was time to explore the overworld. Perhaps there were resources to be gathered from faraway places. They packed up their belongings and ventured across the ocean. Shortly after their travels began, Nolan noticed a handful of orange blocks poking out of the ground in an old-growth birch forest. After uncovering some dirt around the area, it was evident that it was a dig site. The optimist grabbed a shovel, a brush, and got to work unearthing what turned out to be an entire ancient civilization, one that likely thrived many lifetimes ago. They found all kinds of artifacts, including the ones you see here in this chest. Well, it looks like we actually have two chests. I'm assuming our two different trail ruins that we have unearthed, and definitely a lot of different materials in there. It's nice that we were able to donate all of those to the museum. They were sitting up in our home, our second floor of our home, collecting dust for a long time, so it's nice that they have a new home right here. And I guess this is the trail ruin, or at least one of them, that we have maybe unearthed, or maybe just a different, unique design. Nonetheless, it definitely takes me back to those days before all of our automation, back when times were simpler, and it was just us, a shovel, and a brush. Moving into caving now, it looks like a lush cave right here. I spy the end over there. We'll get to that in just a second, I think, but for now, let's read about this lush cave. Little did the optimists know, but right underneath their feet was an expansive cave system that housed all kinds of valuable resources and treasure. The caving adventures started up somewhat quickly and turned out to be quite profitable. The optimists found a very lush-looking cave home to a vibrant environment and axolotls. They scooped them up in a bucket and brought them home to a secret hideout somewhere in the valley. The location still remains a secret for their protection. Of course, we know that location. The museum may not, but we do. We are keeping them safe in a hidden enclosure underneath our home, and we are still trying to get a blue axolotl, one of the rarest mobs in the game. The optimists also found a stone brick structure deep underground. Confused about it at first, they talked to both the cleric and cartographer, who revealed they had found a stronghold, a dungeon-like structure which housed a portal to the end dimension, a dangerous void ruled by the mythical Ender Dragon. They could reactivate the portal by placing Eyes of Ender around the portal's frame. And it looks like that is what we have right through here. An end portal that will probably take us down into the end. So that is our first, I guess, exhibit, our first gallery area. Really, really cool, actually. And I love that the skylight up here is still allowing lots of light in. I kind of like that the walls sort of just end at the top. It makes it feel almost contemporary in a way. I kind of like it. It feels very open. So why don't we head down into the end now and continue on this museum adventure. So here we are in the end. It looks like we have, well, it looks like the end, actually. We have the Ender Dragon up top, all of the obsidian towers, and let's read about this exhibit. Nolan and the Optimists had reached the end, as the cleric referred to it. Just as they were warned, a large dragon loomed over the floating island. Tall obsidian towers dominated the landscape with vibrant and deadly crystals at the top. The Optimists found that by destroying the crystals, it would prevent the dragon from healing, and they could attack and kill it. In doing so, they were rewarded with a dragon egg, a portal home, and a gateway to the outer islands. And at that gateway, we found one of these, an end city with a few shulkers as well. They entered the outer island's gateway and found giant purple towers, end cities, which housed dangerous creatures known as shulkers. They launched tracking projectiles at the Optimists, but were no match for the sword and bow. The Optimists stocked up on their shulker shells, dropped by the shulkers, which could be turned into transportable storage. And that has been one of the greatest things for us, being able to move all of our items around with those shells. A really cool exhibit in here. I kind of like this. This one might be my favorite so far. I think it really captures the essence of the end dimension. So let's make our way up the end city tower, where it looks like we end up in the trophies room, and I spy a lot of valuable materials curated in here. It was a dramatic era for Nolan and the Optimists, but they certainly had a lot to show for it, but not before a long, drawn-out battle with the Wither, which turned out successful. In this exhibit, you will find a collection of valuable trophies and awards granted to the Optimists for all their brave adventures. So right over here, we have our dragon egg. Again, something that I decided to donate to the museum. It looked great in our display case back at home, but I think it just fits in really nicely right here. A dragon head up there and a almost wither, a dangerously close wither, but one that captures the essence without spawning it in. Right behind glass over here, this stuff must be really valuable. A balanced diet, eat everything in the game. There's a notch apple in that item frame, adventuring time, discover every biome. We have a set of diamond armor right here, a heavy core behind the glass, and a beacon as well. Again, all of these items are very valuable, and again, really capture the essence of all that we have accomplished so far in this world. And now, this might end up being one of my favorite galleries, just judging off of what I can see so far. We are entering the building phase. And already so many recognizable buildings. This is incredible, and I love the little beacon right here. That is really neat. The optimists felt like they were done. Everything felt complete. They had been to every biome, had automation, and even dabbled in redstone circuitry. Nolan decided that it was time to relax. He began planning the next phase of the valley, expansion in all directions. The optimists got to work building. Day and night they planned, constructed, and designed. The result was a town filled with dozens of unique, eye-catching builds, all of which serve a very special purpose in the valley, and that they do, except for our windmill. That one is pretty much purely aesthetic, but of course we have our storage complex. I'm assuming this is our concrete house. We've gotten a lot of use out of that. Of course, our mega beacon, which is a little bit bigger than this one. We have 5 beacons laid across it. And our town center as well, where we have a few more builds, including the museum that we are in right now, the trading hall, and the wolf house, our armadillo enclosure right over there. This is a really cool area of the museum. Again, I think this is one of my favorites so far. As the valley grew and the population increased, there was a need for more order and hierarchy. Nolan decided it would be best to redesignate the old storage building as a town hall and create a central area of town adjacent. While there is no seated leader, the optimists have the position on standby should they need one. And it looks like that redstone signal from that lectern activated that. We'll have to report that to the museum employees. But again, just something that really captures the essence of our world. I mean, this is just so cool. It's amazing how much we have been through and all of the different adventures we have gone on. It's so fun to see all of these in their micro form as well. Heights and depths. Well, this looks an awful lot like that. To an extent, I suppose. It's hard to stand in the valley and not be dazzled by the many summits surrounding it. To the north is the aptly named North Pole, one of the latest developments for the optimists. The North Pole is home to a future winter village. The mountain has many different routes to the top, including a bubble elevator, nether portal, wind charge booster, and for the brave few, a hiking trail. But far below the summit lies a mysterious, dangerous, and eerie place. I think we all know what that is referring to. But yes, here is the smaller version of that mountain right outside our window. And we can even see all of those different ways of getting up to the top. But I'm assuming we just hop right down there, and I do spy some skulk. Hopefully that will be safe for us to travel into. I don't see anywhere else that we can go, so it looks like that is where we are headed. We set off some sensors, but I don't think there are any shriekers down here in this ancient city, this scaled down ancient city. We have our wall right here that we can safely walk on without setting off those sensors. But as soon as we start walking around on the skulk, that will set them off. The Deep Dark, as it is known. Welcome to the Deep Dark, home of the ancient city. The optimists have spent lots of time in the ancient city, trying to remove as many skulk shriekers as possible. The device that, when triggered, summons a warden, one of the strongest, most dangerous, and aggressive mobs in all of Minecraft. The optimists were fortunate enough to never have casualties from the warden, but have had many close calls in the past. They found all kinds of rare treasure in the ancient city, including the Silence Armor Trim, one of the rarest items in Minecraft. Of course, we don't have our armor on right now. We took it off because I think we want to look a little bit more professional here in the museum. But that armor has the Silence Armor Trim on it. Just another really cool exhibit with our ancient city. We spent a lot of time down here in what was another milestone episode. Episode 50 was our ancient city episode, and we are now on episode 100. Hard to believe that that was 50 episodes ago. And now it looks like we have a trial chamber 1.21 is here. Soon enough, version 1.21 came to the game, bringing with it the trial chamber, a new underground structure which housed spawners, treasure vaults, and lots of copper and tuff. In this exhibit, you will be immersed in the trial chamber's unique environment and see many of the new items 1.21 introduced. Well, I'm excited to see all of these and see what was included. A vault key right up there, of course no vault, but the key nonetheless. A few ominous bottles ominously placed up there on the wall. We have the crafter right here, something that has been very generous to us so far since it was introduced over the summer. A few decorated pots that aren't actually decorated, but just a few of them here and there. In this barrel, it looks like there are some breeze rods and wind charge. Definitely, you know what? Do you think the employees would notice if we just grabbed one of these out just to test it out? I mean, we have to, right? Some cobwebs right up there from all of these spiders that spawn in, and those new potion effects. A few more decorated pots around here, and a few music discs. Why don't we go ahead and pop one of these in? Okay, that's probably enough. We don't want the employees to get mad at us for playing that too loudly, so we will return that to how it was. Anything in that barrel? It doesn't look like it. And the bundle, yes, of course, the bundle right up here at the end. Although, where do we go? I mean, this is all a dead end. I guess we just step here? There we go. Now we are up in the Garden Awakens, the newest biome added to the game, and the trial chamber brings us to the present day. Version 1.21.4, the Garden Awakens update, has introduced a new biome, wood type, bricks, and a hostile creature, the Creaking. Though this exhibit features a creaking heart, the block which summons a Creaking, yeah it does, it is not active and is safe for guests to explore and see up close. And it looks like it is right over here, but yes, again, not active. We have the resin bricks right over there, and of course the moss on the floor. Again, I said this, I think in the live stream last week, I just love the particles that come off of those leaves right there. And it looks like now we are into the gallery, thus bringing us to the end of the history section of the museum. But there are still many more exhibits to explore. Here you'll find the Fine Art Gallery, a series of original works by artist Christopher Zetterstrand. Head upstairs to check out the temporary exhibits and experimental zones, and continue on toward the exit to see the curated armor collection. We thank you for visiting and hope to see you here again soon. Well, that was just the coolest experience ever. I'm amazed at how much they were able to fit into the museum, and they did a really good job capturing all of our adventures, that's for sure. We will have to give our compliments to the museum employees as we exit. So now it looks like this is just the art gallery, a bunch of different paintings, of course some of the new ones, and some of our skulk sensors from downstairs are going off. Some of the new paintings, which look really nice, I kind of like that one, and of course some of the older ones as well. Why don't we head upstairs and check out the additional exhibits, a few more paintings right here, and it doesn't look like there's anything else up here, but let's go back downstairs because that looks very fascinating. It looks like, here it is. This is the to be curated, I suppose, armor stand collection or armor collection with all of our armor trims, which will hopefully be here. And down here in the middle, what is that? That is a beacon, and that is a netherite block placed right next to it. Are we really doing this? Are we really making a full netherite beacon? I guess that's what the museum wants, and if that's what the museum wants, that is what we are going to do. So on top of all of these different armor trims, we are going to be making a full netherite beacon, and that is the end of our museum showcase for today. I know this is an insane task, all of these different armor trims and that full netherite beacon, but that is something that I think is a great project as a commitment to this world. That's right, we are not going anywhere. It is episode 100 and we are still going strong. So eventually we will have a full netherite beacon and all of those armors with different armor trims. But for now, I really hope you enjoyed this museum reveal. I put so much time and effort into this. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And since it is episode 100, the first version of this world will be coming out on Planet Minecraft. Stay tuned for that sometime in the next week. You will be able to download that. It will be Java edition only, but if you are on Java, you'll be able to download that and check out the world as we have played through it. I'm really excited to announce that, and I'm, again, so thankful that all of you have stuck around for this long. Episode 100, that is quite the milestone for us. Of course, in the next episode, we are going to get right back into it. Episode 101 will be a full world tour, I suppose. We are going to visit pretty much everywhere in the world that we have explored and built and traveled to, and it is going to be a whole tour, a whole adventure for us, and a summary in case you have missed the first 100 episodes, a way to get caught up in the series without having to go back and watch all 100 of those episodes. Why don't we go ahead and grab our belongings before we end the episode for today? And there we go. We are looking ready as always to continue these next 100 episodes and beyond. Thank you again for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on daily content as soon as I publish it. Again, stay tuned for the map download, episode 101, and all future episodes. Check the description for some more important information, links, how to contact me, all of that good stuff. And with all of that being said, comment, like, subscribe. Remember to continue to stay optimistic, and I will see all of you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye.